The big bad Bruins used to terrify me. Not anymore. I just want to celebrate another game they're winning. I just want to celebrate. Sens win 5-2 over the Boston Bruins. How are the young guys now? I finally did it! I scored again! Quit taking penalties! The Sens are gonna blow this game. Way to tie up the stick in front. Not. Well done. Just well done. You better believe we're gonna be having a penalty chat at the end of this one. What a time to be alive! What a long and brutal season that was. This team, man! Last year I'd see the Bruins on the schedule and I'd literally cringe. This year, it's a totally different story. The Sens have played the Bruins 3 times so far this season. The first game they lost 5-2, but it was a very close hockey game going into the third. The Bruins just took advantage in the third and ran away with the game. The second game, Ottawa badly outplayed them, but couldn't come up with a win. And last night, they badly outplayed them for most of the game again. The only difference was Ottawa finally got a win last night. It's not like they didn't deserve to win any of the first 3 games. In fact, I could argue especially the last 2, they definitely deserved a win. And here we go. They got their dub, and the 10-game slide is over. As always though, let's kick things off with lineup changes. After losing a close game to Philly on Saturday, the Sens kept their lineup changes to a minimum, making just a single one, and that came thanks to injury. Prior to their game against the Bruins, the Sens announced that Craig Anderson would be going on injured reserve with a knee injury, and would likely be out a week. With Andy out, Anders Nilsson got the start between the pipes for the Sens, while Marcus Hogberg got recalled from Belleville to serve as Nilsson's backup. Aside from that, the Sens made just one other change, as they reassigned Jean-Christophe Beaudin to the Belleville Senators. This was a bit of a surprise move for me, given the fact that Beaudin played pretty well while he was in the lineup, but at the same time, I wasn't totally surprised because of late, he's kind of been yo-yoing himself in and out of the lineup. He can help Belleville, and he's not helping the Sens every night because he's not always playing, so you may as well send him back and help the kids. Plus, he's a kid himself. I'm sure it can't hurt him to play in Belleville either. And one of the guys who returned to the lineup and squeezed Beaudin out of the lineup scores for the Sens before I can even get the game on. Just a minute 35 in, Artem Anisimov jumps off the Sens bench, catches the Bruins on a terrible line change, Dylan DeMello hits him with a feed, Anisimov races into the Bruins zone, uses his body as a shield, whips a backhand over the glove of Tuukka Rask, and it's 1-0 Ottawa. And this guy who I just keep ripping on now has goals in 2 of his last 3 games. Maybe this is the start of a turnaround. Then just past the period's midway mark, Connor Brown feeds Brady Tkachuk with a terrific shot pass, goes off the pad of Tuukka Rask, onto the stick of Brady Tkachuk. He has a wide open net on the rebound, fires it towards the goal, and his stick snaps in half and the puck never gets there. Remember back in the old days when we used to use wooden sticks? What do you suppose would have happened if Brady had that same shot with a wooden stick? Brady gets the puck, fires it in the net, the stick doesn't break, it goes on another 500 games without breaking, and Brady has a beautiful career. Instead, the composite stick doesn't even make it the first 11 minutes without breaking, and Brady has to go to the bench and get another one. And Ottawa's lead stays at just 1-0. But with just over 4 minutes left in the period, Chris Tierney hits Anthony Duclair in the slot. Duclair has a rolling puck, he kind of gathers it up onto his blade, whips the puck over the shoulder of Tuukka Rask, and it's 2-0 Ottawa. I said it in the last game, Anthony Duclair is a bit of a streaky scorer, so we could probably expect him to score for a little while. He had 2 goals in that game, and that's another one already in the first period of this game. And don't look now, but Duclair's only 1 goal back of Pajot for the team lead. But before we get to the end of the period, the Bruins have a 3-on-3 in the neutral zone, Pajot falls down, that makes it a 3-on-2, with no back support to come back, Mark Borowiecki makes a terribly low percentage play, of course fails on the play, that gives the Bruins a 2-on-1, Pastrnak fakes out everybody, slides the puck over to Bergeron, he taps it in the empty net, and it's 2-1 Ottawa. Man, as much as I love some of the things that Boro brings to the team, and as great a guy as he seems to be, This was just a terrible decision. I mean, even if you ignore the fact that it was a very low percentage play, you had no back support. That meant if you jumped up, best case scenario, you might block the shot or the pass. Worst case scenario, it's a 3-on-1 with Bergeron, Pastrnak, Marchand marching into your goalie. That never had a chance to end well. Thankfully, the Sens don't make any more terrible mistakes, and we head to the second period with Ottawa in front 2-1. And then not even a minute and a half into period 2, Vladislav Nemesnikov forces a Tuukka Rask turnover behind the Bruins goal. Nemesnikov feeds Tierney in front. He fires one into a wide open net, and it's 3-1 Ottawa. And that goal was Chris Tierney's first since October 23rd. A span of 22 straight games without a goal. Let's take that monkey and throw it off the back. The Bruins get some excellent chances the rest of the way in the second period, especially late in the period, but they can't find the back of the net, and Ottawa takes a 3-1 lead to the third. Then in the third, the Bruins absolutely pepper Anders Nilsson, but can't find the back of the net, and late in the period have to pull their goalie. And you know what that means. Pajot gets the puck at the Sens blue line, beats everybody down the ice, hits the empty net, and it's 4-1 Ottawa. The 4-1 goal for 44. Pajot, 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 Pajot. And here we are, 3 minutes left in the game, and the Sens lead the Bruins. Oh great, 4-1. I'm sure most Sens fans were thinking, yes, 4-1, they got this. They finally beat the Bruins. But I was sitting there thinking, it's too early to get excited. It's too early to get excited. It's too early to get excited. And sure enough, 43 seconds later, Jake DeBrusk bangs home a loose puck and a scramble on the Sens doorstep, and it's 4-2 Ottawa. Uh-oh. Here we go. But the Bruins pull their goalie again. The Sens manage to hang on. Then late in the period, Ottawa fires it down the ice. Anthony Duclair just decides that he wants to rub it in, beats everybody, fires the puck into the empty net, and gives Ottawa a 5-2 win. And after going almost 1,000 games without beating the Bruins, the Sens haven't lost to the Bruins in 12 days. And with that, the Duke of Ottawa finishes the game with 2 goals and 1 assist, and decries that the Sens will not be losers to the Bruins anymore. As always though, let's get in to good news, bad news. I've made a big deal in the last few videos about Ottawa's poor starts. Well, in this game, it was the complete opposite. They started this game terrifically, and that is the good news. Especially in the first period last night, I thought Ottawa was really strong against Boston. They forechecked hard, they won puck battles, and they gave the Bruins very little time and space. I mean, the puck would go in the Boston end, Boston would be there first, and by the time they got the puck, there'd be at least one Sens player there, and Boston would have to make a quick, split-second decision with the puck. Sometimes they'd make a good one, sometimes they'd make a bad one, and sometimes they'd make a good one and Ottawa would just make a better play. Ottawa really put it to Boston early in this game, and for most of the first period, I actually thought that Ottawa was the better team and Boston was the team near the bottom of the standings. Clearly, as the game wore on, that changed a little. The scoreboard had a lot to do with it, though, but Ottawa's start last night was excellent, and that is the good news. Now, for the bad news. Usually I go with straight bad news for this segment. Tonight, I'm going to say some good news, but I'm going to tie it in with a tiny bit of bad news as well. I thought Anders Nilsson was terrific last night, and that's another sign of good news. Nilsson was robbing poor Danton Heinen all over the place. Heinen probably should have had at least 2 goals last night, but Nilsson was just terrific. Poor Heinen had a terrific chance in the first period, and Nilsson just kicked out the pad. Then in the second period, he had another great chance. Nilsson kicked that one aside. Then later in the period, he had a wide open net, and Nilsson came out of nowhere and made a ridiculous stick save he had absolutely no business making. Then late in the period, he had to make a terrific pad stop on a Mark Borowiecki tip pass. And of course, over the second and third periods, he had to make 32 saves to keep the Sens in front. As I said before, some of that was score effects, but Nilsson was terrific when he needed to be. Now, for that little bit of bad news I was talking about. Nilsson was making save after save after save after save. most of them with his legs. And I couldn't help but think, you know, Boston got the puck up once or twice, this would be a totally different hockey game. And that's where my bad news came in. As great as Nilsson was last night, it's a little concerning to see so many of those saves coming with the pads. If the Bruins shoot it up, they probably score some goals. And you better believe that other teams are making note of that and are going to start shooting high on Nilsson. Has he shown he's capable of making the saves up high? Absolutely he has. But last night he looked like he made too much of an effort to cover the lower part of the net, and that could cost him in the future. So Nilsson was excellent last night, and that's good news. But I thought he left himself a little too exposed up high, and that's the bad news. Next up, the Sens return to action on Wednesday evening when they go back to their new house of horrors and take on the Montreal Canadiens. Can somebody explain to me why it is that Ottawa's played Montreal twice so far this season, and both times they had to do it in Montreal? Now, Ottawa did win that game 2-1 in overtime to hold a 1-0 edge in head-to-head play, but I don't necessarily expect that to happen again, especially considering Ottawa was badly outplayed in that game. This season series between the two teams hasn't even been close. In their last 12 games, the Canadiens are 9-1-2 against the Sens. In that span, they've outscored Ottawa 44-24, and in Montreal, it's not even any better. Ottawa may have picked up a 2-1 win in Montreal a couple weeks ago, but that was their first win in 6 games in Montreal. And in that span, Ottawa's been outscored 19-7. The Habs are also trying to climb their way back into a playoff spot after a lengthy losing streak. So expect them to come out with a lot of gumption. But they also play in Pittsburgh tonight. So, advantage Ottawa. Take advantage of that. This is one game I do care about. Beat the Habs. I hate the Habs. That's it for this video. Hit like if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share it with anybody you know, and today's question is, with Logan Brown now relegated to 4th line minutes and playing just 7 minutes total last night, is it time to send him down? Let me know what you think down below, and we'll see you Wednesday night when the Sens visit the Montreal Canadiens.